Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation here, Friday, June the 23rd. From the first reading, 2 Corinthians 11. Since many boast according to human standards, I will also boast. But whatever anyone dares to boast of, I am speaking as of a fool. I also dare to boast of that. Are they Hebrews? So am I, and so on. So basically, the Corinthians are going off the rails. Paul's got to really kind of upbraid them, correct them, as we might say, sort of almost in a pedestrian-like way. He's got to smack them upside the head. It's not really what he's doing, but there's a kind of like shaking of them. It's like, come on, you people, what's wrong with you? And it's a real fraternal correction from a spiritual father. So this is why he's got to, do this human boasting, which he really doesn't want to do. But he has to do it because they're so earthly bound. He's basically saying, have you realized that what I go through for you? That's not what he'd normally do, right? It's not what, parents normally do, but sometimes when their children become so selfish, maybe they have to say these things to kind of jolt them out of their narcissism or self-centeredness or sinfulness. And so he's talking about his spiritual pedigree, what he's put in for the Lord Jesus and for their salvation. 3 times I was beaten with rods, once I received a stoning, 3 times I was shipwrecked. Goes on and on and on and on. Few people in the world, even amongst the apostles themselves, perhaps they're the exception, would have been able to do or go through what Paul went through. And so basically they're turning to these false, superficial, narcissistic, off the rails, out of tradition teachers. And Paul is saying, look, I've suffered for Christ and I've suffered for you. In order to bring you the truth of the gospel, I'm not going to stroke your egos. I'm going to preach you Jesus Christ and Him crucified. And this is something we always need to sort of be aware of. And, not about, stroking somebody on the back. When it comes to the truth, I'm talking here. He's called to be faithful to Christ, to be faithful to the revelations he has seen, and not to court human favor. It's all too easy to do this. So it's something for all of us to keep in mind as we go through our days. Not to try and court human favor if it means that we are, somehow diverging from the truth or departing from the truth. Okay, over to the Gospels. We're still, of course, going through the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus said to his disciples, do not store up for yourselves treasure on earth, where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. How true is this, and how often we ignore it, we forget it, we don't live it out. And that's why we're so disappointed so often. We're so many of us are addicted to the clickbait, when it comes to the internet, to buying things, thinking that somehow they're going to make us feel better. It's going to be that thing that sort of makes our quality of life enhanced. And there's nothing wrong with legitimate possession of material things, but we have to check our attitude. What's the interior, machinations of our heart? Are we storing up treasure, in this world? Or are we cognizant of the fact that we are stewards of absolutely everything we have? And we either will invest it or it will be ripped out of our hands, and then we'll be called to account for our selfish use of it. So are we going to invest it in the mission around us? Look for a vision and a mission here at Corpus Christi. We have a vision, and the mission to attain that vision, is you have to kind of know our 10-year vision. 10-year vision, we have the 3-year goals, and then 1-year goals, and then of course the quarterly rocks. And we are striving to live out this vision, to attain this vision. So the important thing is, whatever it is, are we really striving to invest in something that is worthy around us, or are we just keeping it for ourselves? I mean, it's so sad when people die with massive bank accounts, which in and of itself is not the issue, but if they have not strived to invest their financial blessings for the good of others around them, that's what we're going to be held accountable for. Whether it's a lot or a little, doesn't matter in a way. Although if it's a lot, then there's a lot more that a person will be held accountable for. So Jesus says here, it's not a matter of not owning things. We can own things, but we need to store up treasure in heaven. So we need to have a healthy detachment, which doesn't mean being aloof or doesn't care about the things we own, but that we are in a healthy way detached from the things that we own, and to store up treasure in heaven. Are we striving to align our life with God's will? Are we striving to grow in virtue? Are we do we have a sense of stewardship of all the things that we own? So we're trying to place them at the service of God and using them for the good of others. That's a question we need to kind of prayerfully consider on a daily basis, I would go so far as to say. God bless you.